I have a Swedish travel bucket list, and I had this list for like the last 14 years. But I managed to cross off 2 things off that list in just one travel adventure. But there's one specific thing on that list where I was doubting if I would be ever able to cross that one off. And that thing came so suddenly true that I couldn't believe my eyes and I was absolutely in awe. I'll tell you about it.
What are these points? You will figure it out, but for that we first have to travel together to Scandinavia, to Sweden. In January of 2026 we packed our bags, went to Hamburg, flew to Copenhagen and then further to Stockholm, Arlanda. Soon we sat in our rental car. Pretty usual, not the car that we booked, but it was a nice car nevertheless.
The travel continues, and here we have our rental car, a Dacia Bigster. Brand new car, we're the first ones driving it. We'll check how many kilometers it actually has. Kinda insane. Golunga.
How's that for you? Do you ever end up in a rental car that you actually book? Because we almost never do. Write it down in the comments.
We drove to Sundsvall, where the Swedish part of our family lives, but not without making an obligatory stop at Max.
Always the first stop. Always the first stop.
The Swedish only fast food restaurant. Tore got a balloon and he was really excited.
Nice, always full, ready to go towards Sundsvall.
The more north we drove, the thicker the snow and the ice on the street got. We spent one day in Sundsvall with the family.
After a long drive up the E4, we make it back to the red houses.
I managed to get in some cross-country ski training on the snow and not on the roller skis or the ski erg. A nice change in scenery. Then, Leni and I continue to travel north to the magic area of Swedish Lappland by taking a plane from Sundsvall back to Stockholm Arlanda, like a direct route, one could say. We got the next plane and we went as far north as both of us have ever been north, to the polar cycle, to the land of the Sami, the everlasting winter where the nature decided to counterbalance the constant darkness with the beauty of snow and ice. We went to Kiruna, a small city of 18,000 inhabitants, or more exactly, to Jukkasjärvi. Why does anyone want to travel there, to probably the smallest airport in the world in the middle of nowhere? We wanted to stay at the Icehotel. Yes, a hotel completely built out of ice and snow, and there we wanted to sleep in the ice room at like -6 to 10 degrees. The Icehotel is rebuilt every year again, and artists and ice sculptures, people that build with ice, I guess that's what they're called, from all over the world are invited to create rooms. A chapel where you can get married and an ice bar where you can drink cocktails, you guessed it, out of ice block glasses. But one thing after the other. We landed in Kiruna and we were amazed by the instant vibe that you get there. I spent now many winters in Sweden in the last 10 to 12 years, but this hits different. And that there was a parking spot for dog sledges at the airport. We jumped into the taxi with a very talkative woman that moved to Kiruna because of a guy that she was dating. 50 minutes drive and we arrived at the Icehotel. So it is a hotel completely built out of ice. Yes, and a bit no. The hotel rooms, the ice bar, the wedding hall, all of it has been built from ice that has been harvested from the Thorne River, which is located directly next to the Icehotel. The decoration, the walls, the sitting options, the chandeliers and even a full-sized piano. Everything is made out of ice. Or snice. Yeah, a specific mixture of snow and ice. The lobby, the gift shop, the adventure center and the warm part of the hotel, including the locker rooms, shower, sauna and so on, were normal wooden style buildings which fit perfectly into the scenery. But the main attraction, the Icehotel, is ice. I don't know how many times I'll repeat myself because it feels absolutely unreal, and we wandered many hours through the halls, rooms and areas while repeating the same realization over and over and over again. Yeah, this is all made out of ice. Our first night we booked a stay in one of the ice rooms. That is how the hotel also recommends you to do it. During the day all the rooms are accessible for the public, as the Icehotel functioned as a museum. When you stay at the hotel you can wander around and don't have to buy a ticket for that. So lean back and enjoy the art that we were able to experience.
Welcome.
So much exploring makes you thirsty, so that we had to get a drink at the ice bar. And well, don't be surprised, but the whole bar was made out of ice, and so were the cocktail glasses that we got our drink served in. Cut from the river and sculpted into glass. We tried to grab the ice glass with our bare hands, and surprisingly these were very cold and very slippery. The bartender laughed at us and advised us that it could be a great idea to put on our gloves again. She was a smart woman. In the afternoon we went to the local supermarket to stack up on snacks and drinks before we headed over to the restaurant for dinner that was opposite of the street of the Icehotel. I loved that the light and the main decoration of the restaurant were these linen sheets that were lit up in a way that they represented the northern lights. Typical for the area and absolutely on brand, one of these things that I have written down on my Swedish travel bucket list, to see the northern lights in their full beauty. Will that happen during this trip? We will see. The dinner was great, local ingredients like proteins and berries harvested in the nearby woods. Now it was time to head to our hotel room that had the cozy temperature of -6 to 10 degrees. How do you sleep in such a cold room? With a lot of clothes? Nope. Surprisingly little clothes. In the introduction to how to sleep in an ice room, we were told the following. Wear long merino underwear, pants and long sleeve, ski socks, a hat, and maybe bring an extra fleece, but probably not. Yeah, that is it. You get a sleeping bag, an inner liner, big boots, and off you go. To go to the ice room, you have to walk outside for a few meters in this cool outfit, find your room, place your sleeping bag on one of the ice blocks with a mattress and reindeer fur, put the liner in the bag, take your shoes off and climb into your bag. Then you have to zip up the bag in a specific way so that you're completely in it, while you are breathing out of it. And it makes sense because breathing contains water. Water freezes. If that happens inside your sleeping bag, then you have no chance of getting warm ever again. There's a light switch on the side of your bed and then you are off to a very unique night of sleep. It was way too warm. Seriously, I think I never sweat this much during the night in my whole life, but the second you move slightly out of the bag or you open it up, you freeze directly. It was a roller coaster of temperature. Was it an absolutely amazing experience? For sure. Would I advise you to do this one time? 100%. Would I do it again? Maybe, but probably not. Day 2 started. You jump out of the ice room, rush over into the warm area and are glad that you can take a warm shower. Then breakfast in the restaurant opposite of the street, and then we got ready to cross off one thing of my Swedish travel bucket list. To do a dog sledge tour.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
For
adventure.
She's ready for adventure.
For example, dog sledge.
I mean, if we get cold in this, then there's no chance.
There is no chance.
Ever.
At 11 in the morning, we were asked to assemble at the meeting point. Linia and I were there at like 10:50, typical for us. A small group came together of 10 people. 2 British couples, 3 Swedes, 2 from Brazil, and 1 German. That was me. Then we were asked to walk down to the Thorn River, where the dogs were already excitedly waiting. Therefore, we should follow the instructions fast because the dogs are eager to get going and we don't want to keep them waiting. Linia and I were asked to take a seat on the first sledge with the 2 other Swedes. I was the tallest, so I ended up in the back. Story of my life. For that, I was directly greeted by the lead dogs of the second sledge. A blue rope got loosened and off we went. Our musher, that is the word of the dog sledge driver, musher. Yeah, you didn't expect to learn this word today, but here you are. Her name was Annika. Her family owned the sledge dogs and technically lived with them in a big group. Her family have been mushers now for 10 generations. 10 generations, so like real Sami people. We were allowed to ask questions and we did. The family owns 120 dogs. They are all Alaskan Huskies. Even though they have different colored fur, they are all the same breed. They are smaller than we expected, but they are endurance power machines. The dogs are used to run 50 kilometers a day. Every day. They become part of the dog sledge team with like 1.5 years of age and they run often until they are like 12 years old. But they pay attention to see which dog still loves it and can safely do it. If they notice too much fatigue, they retire them. They eat up to 6,000 calories a day with a fat content of 40%. That is insanely much and insanely high. Annika told us that she takes part in long-distance dog sledge races that can go from 600 to multiple thousand of kilometers and therefore last for many days to weeks. Here, the musher has to bring all the needed things with them on the sledge, which includes water, food, hay, blankets and so on in case they have to overnight in the wild and don't make it to a checkpoint. Real adventure. Our adventure was a little bit more calm, but very magical. We drove around 16 kilometers over the frozen Thorne River, adjacent lakes and through the forest. After 8 kilometers there was a small stop and we could say hi to our dogs. Then we made it to a wooden cabin in the middle of nowhere owned by Annika's family, where we had freshly cooked lingonberry tea followed by a homemade lunch with mushroom soup, a reindeer stew and some lingonberry baked goods. The dogs could rest and they all got chicken for lunch. Annika told me that there was one veterinarian in town that they work with, but she works in the veterinary clinic during the summer months as a vet nurse, so that she has a lot of knowledge and skill to take care of her dogs herself, which is probably a very good idea when you are out in nowhere with your dogs and no other human beings even close to you. After the break, we headed back to the hotel. It was everything I hoped for, a real bucket list point that I could cross off, and I was very nervous that it would be a tourist trap and that people would exploit the dogs. Luckily, in this case, it was the complete opposite and you could feel the deep love and admiration Annika had for each and every one of her dogs. We finished this adventure day with a dinner at the restaurant, a so-called ice dinner. It started with plates and bowls made out of ice and the ingredients used were all local, a visual and tasteful experience. The next night we could happily spend in a warm classic hotel room. You really appreciate these after the night in the ice room. Our day of departure came, we had breakfast packed and waited for our taxi to get us. On that day, the temperature dropped and the sky opened up.
Today's the day of goodbye. We spent 3 amazing days here in Lappland. Experienced the Icehotel, the ice rooms, stayed in an ice room, and then obviously went on a dog sledge tour, which was amazing, with an amazing lunchtime with great company at like a cabin in the forest. So the last days was like minus 3, 4, 5 degrees, and now in just one night it dropped to minus 17. So and you could really feel it. Like, I mean, no joke. Like, I mean, I'm smart now to have my gloves in my backpack, because I thought, yeah, I didn't really need it the last days. Which makes me a little bit happy that we made the dog sled tour yesterday and not today, because you're gonna freeze your face off.
One thing that has not happened the last 3 days. Just clouds. There's one thing on my bucket list that I was sure to be able to see. Northern lights. True, full-colored, fascinating northern lights. They have them there all the time, and I did not get to see them. And spoiler, 5 hours after we left Kiruna and made it back to Sundsvall, after we flew to Arlanda again to change flights, I see this post on Instagram page of the Icehotel. I mean, are you kidding me? My bucket list point. I was there and I missed it by 5 hours. But the good thing with these bucket lists is you can always have a reason for travel and adventure. We made it back to the family, spent the next day together. I could go cross-country skiing again and then we headed back home. I said it before that there was this one thing that I crossed off the list that I did not expect. That happened super sudden at 4:30 in the morning, like 20 minutes after we started driving towards Stockholm. I saw a moose, a wild, full-sized moose. For like 12 years I'm traveling to Sweden in summer, spring, fall and winter, to the nature, not the cities, and I never saw a moose. I started to doubt that they even exist and that the Swedes just try to lure foreign tourists into the country to take their money. But no, there she was, a giant female moose 1 meter away from the street. I stopped the car, she looked at me, turned around and went back into the forest. I could not believe it. I have no footage of it, but I saw it, and it was unbelievable.
So 2 things crossed off my Swedish travel adventure list. 1, a close miss, and many more to go. I'm always hyped about my next Swedish travel adventure. See you in the next video. Hej då.